Hey there, Parker Reed here, and welcome to Peak Power Media, your home for everything movies and music through my eyes. And today we're going to be talking about my top 10 4K Blu-Rays of 2020. 4K Blu-Rays are one of my favorite things to collect, and I'd like to think I know a thing or two about them, so I'm going to list my 10 favorites that have come out in 2020, as well as some honorable mentions. So, let's get right to it. Coming at number 10 in my top 10 4K Blu-Rays of 2020, it is Beetlejuice. I was very much impressed with this release. I think the audio and video is really good, and I was thankful a film like this got a release because it's only been like $5 on Blu-ray for like the last 10 years, so the fact that they put some time and effort into it, I really appreciated, and it's number 10 on my list for that reason. At number 9, we have a recent release. It's Christopher Nolan's Tenet. You might be thinking, why is that your pick? Because the audio problems were bad and the movie's confusing. Well, I think some of the action was the best directed in 2020. The visuals look great on this release, and after 4 times watching it, I kind of understand the plot. So, any Christopher Nolan movie usually looks really great on 4K, and the IMAX sequences on this really put it over the top, so that's why it comes at number 9. Coming at number 8, we have Whiplash. Whiplash is probably the best sound that I've heard of all 2020, and it's a musical-based film, so obviously the sound needs to be pretty good, and it was impressive on this release. Every hit of the drum is totally pounding. My subwoofer got a workout during this release, and I think it's a really good film as well. I love Damien Chazelle because La La Land's my favorite film, and this is in his filmography, so obviously I'm going to like it. But this release was a standout audio and visualize, and that's why it comes in at number 8. At number 7 on my top 10 4K Blu-rays of 2020, it is Midsommar, the director's cut. This is a very impressive release, both audio and visual-wise, and the packaging looks and feels great as well. It better for like $50, but I enjoy this movie a lot. It's one of the only horror movies that I have on this list because it's not really my genre, so the fact that it stood out enough to be at number 7 was surprising even to me, and I think you need to check this out. The visuals are especially great on here. It's a horror movie set during the daytime, so if that isn't interesting enough, some of the things in here are really going to shock you, and that's why it comes at number 7. It's an interesting release, and I can't wait to watch it again. Coming at number 6, we have a personal favorite movie of mine. It's Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Sure, some of the CGI doesn't look phenomenal in this, but that's just inherent to the source material. But I like this movie so much that I had to include it here. And the audio in here was very, very impressive. John Williams' score is one of the best in all of the Star Wars franchise in this film. You definitely need to watch it just for that. And I think the movie's damn good, even though it's basically turned into a meme machine by this point. That's why Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith comes at number 6 on my top 10 4K Blu-rays of 2020 list. Coming at number 5, we have the best Star Wars movie of all time, in my opinion. That's Star Wars Episode 5. The Empire Strikes Back. This movie is nearly flawless as far as storytelling goes, and the practical effects used in this film really shine in the new 4K format. I've seen this 3 times in theaters this year because it's been re-released for the 40th anniversary, and I've even watched it at home once or twice. This release looks phenomenal. All the Star Wars releases on 4K look pretty good, except for the first few prequels where the CGI was just not good and it didn't age well. But this movie does not have any of those problems, and it's definitely one you need to own on 4K if you don't already have it. Number 4 on my top 10 4K Blu-rays of 2020 list is a true cinematic pleasure. It's the Alfred Hitchcock Classics Collection, and this features Rear Window, Vertigo, Psycho, and The Birds, and I've never seen any of these Hitchcock movies. I've seen most of Psycho before, but getting able to see these classic films in 4K, it was fantastic. These look immaculate, they sound immaculate, and they're some of the best recreations of old films that I've ever seen. Definitely pick up this collection if you're a lover of film. It'll be right up there with some of your favorites, I guarantee you, and Vertigo is now one of my favorite movies of all time after watching this release. Number 3 is a kind of a controversial pick because there has been some discussion about the transfer, but the Lord of the Rings trilogy is immaculate. Sure, some of these are upscaled and the CGI needs a little bit of work, but just from a storytelling perspective, these are some of my favorite movies of all time. And they're all like 4 hours, so you're really getting a lot of worth out of this release. The packaging is okay, but it's the Lord of the Rings trilogy, one of the best trilogies of all time, so the fact that it's out on 4K now, we should all just be thankful and stop complaining so much, and it's at number 3 on my list. My number 2 pick is one that held the title for the best 4K Blu-ray of most of 2020, but was only recently dethroned. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It is Joker. If you want an immaculate demo-worthy disc, put on Joker, and I challenge anybody to watch it and not be impressed. It's full screen, and the cinematography on this film is breathtakingly amazing. It's vivid, it's dark, it's gloomy, it's sad, but it's a great take on the character of Joker. Joaquin Phoenix won an Oscar for this movie. I can see why, because he is great in the film. This is one of my favorite movies. I even dressed up as Joker for Halloween. I mean, look at this.
Is it just me? Or is it getting crazier out there?
Don't I look sexy? So if you don't own this already, shame on you. Shame, 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 because it's one of the best movies of the past few years, and is one of the best, the second best 4K Blu-ray of 2020 in my opinion. And before we get to that pesky #1 pick, I do have 5 honorable mentions because I love so many releases this year, but I just was not able to put them all on this list. So one of the honorable mentions is 1917, a great war film, some great visuals. An Arrow Video 4K release of Flash Gordon. The audio just wasn't great on this release. Another one we have is Requiem for a Dream, Total Recall, and a true surprise, a bunch of kung fu movies that I've really enjoyed starring Donnie Yen, the Ip Man Complete Collection. So you're probably wondering what #1 is now, and if you know me, you know my favorite series of all time is this release. So all 8 seasons are on 4K for the very first time. So my #1 4K Blu-ray of 2020 is Game of Thrones, the Complete Collection. All 8 of these seasons look phenomenal, they sound phenomenal, and I couldn't have asked for more from HBO on this release because I have the standard edition here and it's got great packaging, and I also have the 4K Steelbook set as well, which is also great. So thank you for great packaging on this release, thank you for great audio, visuals, and it's one of the best series of all time besides season 8, but we won't mention that. So Game of Thrones, the Complete Collection is my #1 4K Blu-ray this year, and thank you so much for watching this video. If you like what you saw here, you can check us out on Facebook or Instagram, and like, comment, and subscribe if you so choose. My name is Parker Reed, you've been watching PR Media. Keep supporting physical media like 4K Blu-rays, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.